Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to Finding Your Financial Voice with me, your host, Dr. Anita R. Johnson, financial behaviorist. And I have an exciting show for you today. I have an exciting guest, and I'm so glad that she is here. Her name is Dr. Pam Perry, and she is a PR speaker. She's all of those, all the above kind of things. And I just love, and I told her when I asked her to be a guest on the show that I've been following her. I've been stalking her for a long, long time. So I'm excited about
2018.
having her.
hmm
Welcome, Dr. Pam.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Anita, for having me. This is really good. Thank you for having me.
No
Yeah, since
problem.
2018, you said you've been following me. And listen, it shows the consistency, right? So it's not like I decided one day I'm gonna sell cupcakes and then I'm gonna do PR and then I'm going to do this and that. It all has to do with the same thing. It's been
Right.
with my calling. So
Yes, I love it because, you have been in business for a while and you have been doing public relations for a while. So give me a little background on you about how you got started in it and why do you like it so?
it's really, I always say that careers should be calling. So I've
Mm,
always felt attracted to words. And so, I kind of think careers have like certain buckets, I would guess you
mm,
would say.
mhm,
One is
mhm.
like numbers bucket, another could be like science bucket, and another one is words. So within words, you could even be a lawyer or that kind of thing. And I
Mm.
even thought about that at one point, but I really like storytelling and I love
Okay.
promoting.
Okay.
And so it really started out just as a young age. That was just something that I was always just fall into. It didn't matter. Whatever, if I was in an organization or a club, they would always make me the person in charge of maybe recruitment, membership,
Mm.
promoting the events, putting together the events, no matter what. I was never the secretary. I was never the treasurer. I would be the person that would be doing the promotion. Even in churches, it's the same thing with
Mm.
churches. I was not the
Okay.
one in the choir. I would be the one to promote people to come to our events. And so went on to school, majored in journalism, public relations,
Mm.
and advertising. They were all communications. And I did all of the things when I was in college to figure out which one did I like the best. Still really couldn't figure it out. So my first job when I was out of college, I worked at the Detroit Free Press. I was in the advertising department, but I also was a copywriter where I wrote feature stories for the
Mm.
classified sections, which I really enjoyed. I didn't like writing hard news so much as really digging in and finding out stories about the behind the scenes stories about people. And that's what I really did, writing career stories and that kind of thing. Fast forward, I just kind of still trying to figure out, okay, I stayed there for about 7 years. Was at this point, I was kind of scared to quit. I was like so young. I was like in my early 20s and I was like, how do you go look for another job? I don't
Mm.
even know. I mean, it's like,
Mm.
isn't this the holy grail to keep a job? So I stayed there for about 7 years and I said, you know what, I've done print for a long time. Now I want to do broadcast. So then I started
Mm.
working in radio. And again, I sold advertising and I also was copywriting and I also did voiceover. So I always dabbled
Mm.
in a lot of the different things whenever I worked for a media organization. So finally, I said, that's what PR people do because now my
Mm.
personality fits that because now I can work with radio, TV, print. I can always pitch the different clients to the different journalists because I know I worked as a television producer as well and won an Emmy doing two different shows. So all of the times that I'm with any of the media outlets, I'm always trying to promote the person to tell their story more. So
Mhm,
that's where
mhm.
really PR started for me. And I just really realized that was a bigger career than I really thought. I thought it was like, oh, you got to work for a media organization. So I started working for a nonprofit and I did all the things for the PR for this nonprofit. Nonprofits, they have a small staff.
Yes.
And I did everything. I mean, from database management
Oh,
to
wow.
writing the newsletters,
Oh,
planning the
wow.
events, picking the speakers, uh looking at the over the speakers I mean, so it's anyway, but the part that I enjoyed the most was really PR. So I left the
Okay.
smaller nonprofit and went to a larger nonprofit, which was the Salvation Army. I was a director of
Mm,
public relations for the Salvation Army, and I
okay.
did that for about 7 years. And I really enjoyed it because obviously you could tell human interest stories because it is a human services agency, and really it was like within its own container within the Salvation Army. There were always stories to pitch to the media, whether I'm pitching it to radio, magazines, print. We even got on the Oprah show while I was there as well, pitching stories for, during the holidays. Obviously, that's one of the things that the Salvation Army is really good at during the holidays fundraising. And I really enjoyed that. And I did that up until I was got married and had a baby. And I had a choice either go back to work, which I really loved the work, but I said, you know what, I'm going to try my hand at entrepreneurship because I had always, in the back of my mind, always wanted to open up my own agency. At one point in time, I thought it was an ad agency, but it really was more a PR firm, PR firm that focused it on event marketing for nonprofits. So I started in 2000, my company, Ministry Marketing Solutions, Inc. And really, just like the Salvation Army works to bring good news to the world, Ministry Marketing Solutions, that was really its thing. Because Salvation Army, people don't realize it's really a church. It's a big church. That's what the word salvation is for, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't know that. So,
That
but
makes
it is
sense.
church. And
Yeah.
so I decided to do Ministry Marketing Solutions and focus not just on one particular church, but just really African American churches in general within our community, so that they can learn how to brand and market and do PR the same way the Salvation Army does. The Salvation Army is a church, but a lot of people don't know it, but they do good work and they raise millions of dollars.
Wow.
A lot of African American churches, they do good work, but no one knows about it. And so Ministry Marketing started during that time. And it was really different because people didn't put ministry and marketing together in the same sentence.
Exactly.
And it was really, really a lot of education for the first few years. But eventually I started working with larger churches in the area, the Greater Graces, the Word of Faith, the Straight Gates, and did their books, promoted their programs, even did some personal branding for the ministers, getting them on social media, educating them about that. We're talking about early 2000s, right? So at this point, they thought social media was a devil. So, thank goodness that when COVID did come, a lot of them did switch over and realize that, hey, we do probably need to go online. That's where the people are. You got to go ye where the people are. So they're online. And so really I did that for maybe about 10 years, working with primarily ministers and pastors. And then really I did a flip and started working with inspirational speakers, still within the African-American market and the culture, but really more so with speakers and authors that have motivating, inspirational messages. And then now really entrepreneurs who use speaking as a form of PR, a way to really trust with their audiences.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah. Yeah, because our topic for today and would be, how can, one of the questions is how can Black women leverage public speaking as a tool to advocate for financial education? And of course, I'm a financial behaviorist,
Yes.
In my real day job. Right.
It's really, it's a whole organization. Yeah.
Yes. And like you, found some mentors actually found me for doing speaking, and then I found out, I really like to speak, right? And so how can as a Black woman I can leverage, or any woman that is out there looking to do some of the things that that you offer them, to leverage that to become to leave that legacy for their family?
Well, one of the main things that speaking does is that it allows you to connect and build trust. And in order to sell anything, people have to know, like, and trust you. So the main thing is knowing you. Like, how do they know you? And so that has to do with your branding, your positioning. How do they know? If they were following you on social media for many years and they see you like one day looking crazy and another day being insane, I mean, it's like, are they erratic? So they have to know you and then like you by being yourself, being authentic. And then the trusting is really when you're more like, get on the phone call, get on the Zoom, meeting people on stage, virtual stage, or either in person. And that's how you really build your business. I mean, there's not too many businesses that are going to just function without customers. And in order for customers to come to you, you have to have that marketing muscle, I guess you would say. You
Okay.
have to have that PR muscle. You have to be comfortable with promoting yourself. And so
Right.
speaking is one of those tools where you leverage it from really all of your expertise in your brain and you're sharing it. Now you have to share it in a way that's exciting. You have to share it in a way that you practice. You have to share it in a way where you are offering value. You can't just share it and then say, oh, okay, well, I'm going to get customers. Then it becomes like a sales message. You have to
Mm.
offer value. So
Mhm.
one of the main things, it's a little bit of a teacher mode, but then also too, you've got to know that you are in business. So you have to allow it so that people will know, hey, I really want to work with them. And that's just that the whole speaking part. I don't really teach people how to do platform speaking. I
Mhm.
do help them with media training, which is a little bit different. But the main thing with if you're in any business, you should always make sure that you want to pick up the mic and speak. Whenever people ask you, like, so what do you do? You should basically have a really, really fire elevator,
Mhm.
pitch
Okay. Okay.
so that people can understand what it is that you do. So when people ask me, so what do you do? I said, well, I help people promote, amplify, and market their brand. This is the
Mm.
Pam way. That's my name. Promote, amplify, and market. And they
I love
remember
it.
that. And it's easy
I
for me to
love
remember as well.
it.
But it's better than saying, oh, I'm a publicist.
Mm, mm.
Boring,
That's kind of boring. Yeah.
boring. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, okay. But
Yeah.
what does it do? I help people promote, amplify, and market their brand. It's like, oh,
Okay.
okay. All right. Then
Okay. That makes
then
sense.
that's kind
Yeah.
of like the main thing. And then the next question would be like, so who do you do it for? How do you do it? That kind of thing. So,
Okay.
but you need to have that language where you are bringing in your ideal customer and having them ask them. So
Right.
speaking is a big, big tool. I, I don't teach speaking, but I do recommend people who want to speak more, obviously practice, but also go to something like Toastmasters. That's really
Mm.
simple to do.
Hmm.
Those
Yeah.
are free. There's
I started
Toastmaster
in
chapters
Toastmasters. Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Oh my God. They're
I started in Toastmasters. I started as it was a group that was coming to our church that was going to start
yeah,
in the church.
yeah.
And then the guy who started the program, he was choosing officers, right? And he says, yeah. So it got down to the president. And of course, I was like holding my head down, right? And he's like, I'm gonna give it to the person I know really needs it. And then it was me. I was
Oh
like,
my
yeah,
goodness.
right. So I ended
That's
up
it.
being the
That's sometimes
president
with
for a
leaders.
year. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was a
It's
great experience. It was really a great experience. It taught me more than just speaking, right?
yes.
Because I was in the officer's role. So that
Yeah.
was totally different than just creating a speech
hmm
and doing
hmm
that. Yes,
The
definitely.
favorite part I liked about Toastmasters was table topics.
Oh yeah.
So
Yes.
table
Yes.
topics was one of my favorite parts because you didn't have to rehearse
Yep.
and you could just go. And
You
I
just
always
go
like,
for it. Yeah,
yeah, that
exactly. You
part.
just go for it. Whatever
Yeah.
comes into your mind. I know when he when I first started, he says, "Yeah, you're creating a speech now, but once you learn how to do this, you'd be able to just give one right off the top of your head." Right? And I
True.
noticed that I do that a lot, right?
hmm
And
hmm
so I'm really grateful to him for being a great mentor with me
hmm
for that. Definitely.
Toastmasters is a great tool for people
Yes,
who
it
want
is.
to
It
speak.
definitely is a great
hmm
tool. Yes.
hmm
And you spoke of media and teaching or educating people about the media. The media, the role of the media, how does that actually help shape your empowerment when we as Black women we are or as black as the community, does that shape us when you educate us in the media, right? How does that shape us in the media? Because we hear this fake news, this that blah blah blah, and then once we get into the media, then we get scrutinized a lot. So how would you handle that? Because I see here on your bio that a lot of your clients have been featured on CNN, CNBC, Fox Soul, Oprah's Magazine, Essence. I'm rolling this out for everybody so they'll know to call
Yes.
Dr. Pam if they want to be on one of these shows, right? How do you have them understand their role in the media?
Well, first of all, it's not by magic. They do not
I love
automatically
it.
go on Oprah or Essence.
I love
It takes time. It
it.
takes time. Pam does not have a
I
magic
love it. You
wand for
got
real.
tools there.
Okay.
You got tools.
Yeah, it is not for real. So it does take time. So if I'm working with, say, Dr. Cindy Trim or Bishop T.D. Jakes, who are clients of mine, they're a lot easier to book on the
Hmm.
Today Show or Essence or CNBC, whatever, because they have a brand name.
Right.
So how do you have a brand name? One, that takes time, and two, it
Hmm.
takes a strategy. And so a lot of the times media is you're using another person's platform, and their platform is large. So if it's CNN, you're using that platform, one, to build trust immediately. Just like I said, okay, well, we could build trust one-on-one. You get to know me and we talk, but it's
Hmm.
just you and me.
Hmm.
In order one to many is now you're on a platform that reaches millions,
Hmm.
thousands, because that's what the media does. But the same thing, you have to start out telling your story one on one, building your authentic brand with one person, one at a time. So you do it one at a time, then maybe you'll do it at a group of 10, 100, 1,000, maybe even at a certain point in time where you're in a smaller television station, where you're in your
Hmm.
local market, then you're on, say, even within the TV rankings, there may be the CBS, then there's the NBC, then there's the ABC. So you're not going to start maybe out on ABC, but maybe you'll start with CW, or maybe you start with Spectrum.
Hmm.
You know,
Hmm.
there's so many media outlets, but I always tell people you don't start here, because you will then make a mess of yourself, and then you'll be blacklisted from the whole industry. So you want to build it up, just like you're doing reps in the gym, and you don't go in and say, oh, I want to lift 300
300
pounds,
pounds.
never
Yeah.
even lifted anything.
Yeah.
So I always tell people you start with print. Print
Mm.
is really like the first area that you really want to tell your story.
Okay.
And I won't say they're the real journalists, but they are the ones that aren't
Hmm.
looking for the B-roll. They aren't necessarily looking for you to look a certain way or to sound a certain way. They're print. So they could tell your story in print very, very well without you having to do all of the other calisthenics that have to do with, making sure that you're showing up and shining a certain way. So telling your story, your long form story, when I say long form, 500, 1,500, 2,000 words in a long form story. And that's one of the strategies that I really help people with, is like,
Hmm.
how do you find out where to tell your story in long form? So whether it's a magazine, whether it is a newspaper, whether it's a trade journal newsletter.
Hmm.
Those are the kind of things that you're going to either you write or have written about you. Those are, you really want to clobber the print space really right away. You could put yourself on a blog tour. You can write
Okay.
a book. Print is really like the basis for it, because from working in broadcast myself as a television producer and also in radio, they take a lot of their information from print.
Oh,
So
wow. That's interesting.
so, yeah, so if you're a TV producer, where are you going to find your information? You're going to find it in print. They may pick up a newspaper, they may pick up a magazine, they may go online
That's
to read it
interesting.
online.
Okay.
And so that's where my very first job in radio was the public radio station here in Detroit. It was one of Wayne State University. And our morning show started at 6. It was like 6 to 9. So I had to get there at like 5. And my job was to write the news. I'd
Mm.
write the news for the news desk.
Hmm.
And he would throw me the newspaper and say, go at it.
Gosh.
So they got their news from
From
the
the newspaper.
newspaper.
Wow. That's interesting.
They
Wow.
do.
So
That's where
you
they
mean to
did it.
tell me I just can't walk in and I'm like, I need a television show.
I mean, you can get a television show go on YouTube. That's all day, every day. So that's the
So
thing. But
that's okay, huh?
yeah, YouTube is open
Oh,
for
but
everybody. And I tell
CNBC's not gonna take me, huh?
CNBC,
Not
just
right now,
knowing,
anyway.
yeah, there's so much to really getting on and studying each of the shows, that
Mm-hmm.
it's really better for you to be found versus like trying to get on one particular show.
Mm-hmm.
I tell client all the time. I just wrote a blog the other day on how to get featured in Forbes. It's on my blog, pamperrypr.com/blog, and how to get featured in Forbes. And Forbes positions you as a thought leader, that kind of thing. And there's different ways, but before you get in Forbes, they want to see some kind of digital footprint of you somewhere. And I always tell people, you've got to start. Maybe you'll start out with, a smaller newspaper. What city are you in?
I'm in Sacramento.
So Sacramento B, I believe it is.
Yeah, it's the B. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
the
then
B.
we have the Observer, which is a smaller, and I have written for them before. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So just not knowing a whole lot of media. I mean, I got to know a little bit of the media, but I knew the Sacramento Bee.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
how many times have you been in there? So
No.
before you try to go on CNN or Oprah or Essence, let's try the Sacramento Bee. I mean,
Yeah, that makes
it's still
sense.
a live
Yeah,
publication. I mean, I think
that makes sense. Yeah.
it's one of, I want to say it's owned by Gannett. I'm not really sure, but they have a network where if it's the story does really well, and they'll know how well it does because it's online, it'll
Uh-huh.
get picked up by their other chains of newspapers, and
Mm-hmm.
that's how you grow. So
Okay.
if it's Gannett, I'm not sure exactly who it is. They will pick up their stories, and Gannett owns USA Today, and it might even get picked up there.
That's interesting.
So I always tell people to be hyper local first. You can always dream national, but be hyper local first and really get good at telling that story. And if it's interesting and it'll go
Mm-hmm.
further.
Okay. All right.
Because what happens is the competition is so high at the top because
Mm.
everybody wants to start at the top, but the top only wants those that already have an established brand. And the only way to establish brand is to start really small and then
Mm-hmm.
roll into it, just like you would with anything. You're climbing up a hill,
Mm-hmm.
you're one step at
Mm-hmm.
a time. And
Okay.
so that's what I always tell people. It says, so if you tell me Sacramento, it's like, okay, well, what are the ABC, NBC, CBS affiliates there? What is the I think it's the Q maybe or something like that. KQ, it's the public radio station there.
Um, KVIE channel.
Yes.
Yeah, we have KVIE. Yes, I
And radio,
yeah.
public radio
Yeah, the
stations.
public radio station, we do have that here too as well. It's called Access Sacramento. So we have all of
Okay.
those. Yeah. And I have gone to those classes. So I know how to do the behind the scenes camera.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
And
Which
and
is
the
exciting. Yeah, which is exciting. Yeah. I
because
thought it was very exciting.
and
Yeah.
the radio, just so that you know, if you're on like the public radio in Sacramento, NPR,
hmm
NPR, it's National
NPR.
Public
Yeah,
Radio.
that's the one. Yeah.
Yes. So you do well there. You don't think that they have friends in other cities.
hmm Yeah, they
So
do.
now you're on All Things Considered, which is a national show,
Yeah, that's
So
a national one. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, but you
hmm
start with the local ones first. And I always tell people, I said, one of the main things that working with the publicist is that you will then find out which media would work for you and
hmm
where they are and how to
hmm
get there. So I always tell people, especially in my Ready, Set, Go Speak program, is that the ready phase is the hardest because people are so like, I'm ready to speak, I'm ready to speak. But the ready phase is 50% of the time. Then that's the planning and the strategy, figuring
Mm,
out your hooks, figuring out your angles, figuring out who to talk to, who would be
mhm,
interested. And sometimes people don't know their own media landscape in their own hometown.
mhm,
And if you're African American, you have your own network of African American media as well. Just like if
mhm,
someone were Hispanic or if someone were Chinese, you know, even Caribbean have their own network of media outlets. So I always tell people, I said, why are you overlooking the people who have the affinity for you the most?
yeah.
And this one particular person, she did really, really well. She told me we were speaking and she said she was born in Kingston. I said, Jamaica. She said, yeah. I said, well, you should get on such and such. And it was like 4 or 5 different outlets that were owned by people who are from the Caribbean. And of course, she
Mm,
became a regular. And then
mm,
she was on the front of their magazine and she
mm.
became their darling. I was like, so don't discount your own
That
people.
makes sense. Yeah, yeah,
It's like,
definitely.
that's why they're there. It's like you're trying to go up against a wall of, say, another area where, not saying that you're not welcome, but you're more welcome by someone who created an out, like Kathy Hughes. I love her from Radio One.
I love her
She's
too.
unapologetic about what she's trying to do with urban radio
Mm-hmm.
and television as well. But
Mm-hmm.
that's one of the things, she stayed with that niche. And so I always tell people, I said, well, what is the Radio One station in your area? And they're
Mm-hmm.
like, oh yeah, I forgot. I said, yeah, they have the national shows, but they also have the local
Local
shows
shows.
in there.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
Sirius XM as well. The Urban View with Karen Hunter, all of those shows are
Yeah, yeah.
very Roland
Mm-hmm.
Martin.
Yeah, Roland
I
Martin.
mean, I
Yeah.
can name probably a whole list of maybe 100 different outlets that are in the African American market, and CNN and CNBC is not one of them. Because if
Right.
you're really trying to build trust, you're trying to build trust with people who will know, like, and trust you immediately at first because you're
Mm-hmm.
more like them.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so I always say, it's really good. I mean, I love ERU Web is one of the ones. It's one of the oldest
Mm.
uh, uh, online news outlets. The Griot, the Root,
Yeah, yeah.
Noir.
I've heard all of
Those
those. Yeah.
those are
Mm-hmm.
those are very good ones, and they're not easy to get into.
Right.
So,
Right.
you can really focus on trying to get into those, but that takes guidance. A publicist can
And you
help
can give
you.
us that guidance.
Yeah,
You can give
it's
them the guidance.
it's a landscape, but really the first part is really getting the mindset right about where you want to go, what is your messaging, and what do you
Mm-hmm.
want it to do? What do you want PR to do for you?
Okay.
And PR is really a lead generator and a trust builder, credibility.
Okay.
So those
Well,
those are really good.
if you are just turning, I'm talking to Dr. Pam Perry, and she is public relations. She's an award-winning communications and public relations professional, right? And she also publishes something called Speakers Magazine, which I have actually looked at. There she goes. Look at her. She is definitely doing her thing. She's got the magazine. Not only the look at that. See,
I love that. I
she's got
love just
her wand that does not say you can do this, and you got to be working at this.
yes, for a while. I mean, it takes a while. I mean,
I
this
love it.
right here, this particular lady is on the cover. She's 70 years old,
Oh wow,
and she
beautiful.
started working with me. She's about 67 years old. And really, the ready phase was longer for her because she had been in a career for a really long time, but she was really kind of gun shy about doing photo shoots, and she was
Mm,
gun shy about just really putting herself out there. I mean, she's
mm-hmm,
the baby born
mm-hmm.
age is just kind of like, well, I said, okay, we're gonna speed this up. I put her in a contest, and the contest was Miss Fit and Fine.
Oh
Okay, it was for people
wow.
who were over the age of 50. She was
Oh
closer
wow.
to 70,
Uh-huh.
and she got in that contest and she won. And I
Oh
and I had to
wow.
explain, it helped shape her
Helped her
whole mindset.
self-confidence. Mm-hmm.
Yes, her whole
Mm-hmm.
mindset
Mm-hmm.
about what her platform is, I mean, now you can't tell her nothing. You
I
can't tell. There she
love
is.
it. Look at
There she
that.
is.
Oh wow.
Yes,
Look
the
at
first
that.
pageant she'd ever been in. She's a nonprofit leader, so she didn't really,
Wow.
and so she kind of retired from that and wanted to do something different. She wanted to speak more. She wanted to get on more stages. She wanted to do more coaching and
Mm-hmm.
consulting,
Mm-hmm.
but she had to do something to make the pivot from doing this to doing that, and that
Right.
was where the branding and the PR happened.
Right.
She's been on a
Exactly.
bunch of TV shows and things like that, but yeah,
I love it. All
yeah.
right. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Pam, for being with us today at Finding Your Financial Voice podcast with myself, the host, Dr. Anita Johnson. I'm so excited. I'm excited about people wanting to listening to this podcast, seeing this podcast, and wanting to be part of you helping them, guiding them through their public relations life. I love it. I love it. I love it. So thank you so much, and I appreciate
Thank
your
you.
time and love you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Nee. This is really, really good. The work you do is very, very important. They
Thank
have to
you.
get their mind right about
Yes.
money.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.